Hello, Dr. Coker here, and this is the story of Hildibrand Manderville in Final Fantasy XIV. For this series, I'll simply refer to the player character as Ritter, my character's name, to keep it simple. This is episode 1. Let's get started. Strolling through Ul'dah one day, Ritter ran into a woman named Wymond, who tells him of a legendary inspector named Hildibrand. She says before the calamity, Hildibrand claimed to have cracked the code to prevent it, discovered that he himself was the hero of prophecy, and shot himself straight to the moon. He was missing until recently. Now there are some rumors involving zombies that need looking into, so Wymond directs Ritter to speak with Nashu, Hildibrand's old assistant. Ritter finds Nashu at Hildibrand's grave. She says Hildibrand was a true hero who solved every case with grace and style. As she recalls his final case in which he flew to the moon, Ritter has a vision. In this vision, Nashu grieves for Hildibrand at his grave and promises to become an inspector herself to carry on his legacy. After the vision, Nashu says she's investigating a group of dapper zombies and asks if Ritter will befriend them and find out who their leader is. Ritter approaches the dapper zombies, who keep flexing their muscles and talking about being gentlemen, but he ends up slaying many of them. He finds a note and takes it to Nashu. The note has a marked map and says, "A gentleman is rather than does." The two of them go straight to the place marked on the map. When they arrive, there isn't much to see, but they yell out the phrase, "A gentleman is rather than does," and are surrounded by several dapper zombies. But the lead zombie, dressed in a torn tuxedo with a monocle, tells them that a gentleman does not dine upon his guests. Nashu is ecstatic to find that this is Hildibrand himself, but he says he is not Hildibrand, but Zombibrand, undead overlord extraordinaire. Nashu insists that he's confused and just needs some sense knocked into him. Despite his protests, she goes forward with the idea. He does, in fact, remember now that he is Hildibrand, and she his assistant. Ritter then has another vision, one in which he sees Hildibrand rising from the grave. After the vision, Hildibrand says his senses are tingling and there must be a case. He dashes off to Ul'dah. Ritter travels to Ul'dah and asks the locals if they've seen a gentleman zombie investigator recently. While speaking with Wymond, Hildibrand approaches and says he's fine. Nashu says he's not even a zombie, she checked. He then says he's on the case of a thieving duelist. Wymond has some useful info, but Hildibrand dashes off before she finishes, and Nashu follows. Wymond gives Ritter the rest of the info, the woman's name and where to find her. Ritter finds Yellow Moon at the Weaver's Guild, who says the duelist took her precious wand. Hildibrand swears to scour all creation from the hells to the heavens to find her wand. After Yellow Moon says this isn't the first item stolen from her, Hildibrand says they need to retrace her steps. They go to a clothier she visited earlier, where she says she dropped a purse on a stranger's foot just after he confessed his undying love. Odd, but they move on. Next, they visit the Colosseum entrance. She says here a gladiator approached her and confessed his undying love to her, and this time she accidentally knocked the guy unconscious with her purse. Hildibrand says the thief targeted her because he hated her, while Nashu remarks that there are large crates all around Ul'dah. She then asks Ritter to open them with explosives. 3 men in yellow coats were found inside. Meanwhile, Hildibrand says he's figured out the motive, that the thief's pride was wounded when Yellow Moon struck him, so he stole from her for vengeance. But the men in yellow coats have her wand. They say they're devotees of the goddess Yellow Moon, and when she misplaces her things, they take them for safekeeping and nothing more. Hildibrand says he's a genius for having Nashu inspect the crates. A nearby woman says the thieving duelist they are looking for is not these men. The woman says she's a reporter named Ellie who's been investigating these crimes for weeks and has the name of another victim. Hildibrand thanks her and runs off before getting the name. Ritter gets the name and location instead. He meets the man Humphrey outside the Golden Bazaar, and Hildibrand and Nashu arrive as well. Humphrey says he's no victim, he's the Warrior of Light, and he fought by Louisoix's side at Cartano. Ellie, the reporter, arrives and says he's full of it. It turns out he lost the duel and surrendered a precious sword that wasn't his own. The sword belonged to the man named Elazar standing next to Ellie, and he demands it back, saying he lost all his hair stressing out about the sword. Hildibrand agrees to help Humphrey retrieve it for him, so that Elazar can restore his flowing locks. Asking around town, they find a sword merchant who says he doesn't currently have it, but he discards swords of dubious origins at a spring near Camp Drybone. Hildibrand says even a fake sword may restore some of his hair while they search for the real one. At the spring, Hildibrand says he cannot dive into the water without a liberal application of salamander oil, so Ritter massages some into his skin. Ritter and Hildibrand then explore the spring looking for anything of interest. They find nothing, but Nashu trips over an old sword, and Hildibrand is once again thankful for his own instincts, delegating Nashu to search in that area. Nashu leaves for the market, and Hildibrand heads back to Eleazar. Hildibrand presents the sword to Eleazar, and he is very pleased. Just as Nashu returns from the market, a card flies into the room and lodges into Hildibrand's forehead. He checks it and it says, "I shall come to claim the collector's blade." As Eleazar applies some hair tonic to his bald head, he glows. Hildibrand gladly accepts the duelist challenge and a shaded figure watches from outside. Meanwhile, a large man in red walks past a defeated warrior in search of the most powerful blade. A sneak preview of the next Hildibrand adventure.